The Awakening by Kate Chopin, Chapter 38. Edna still felt dazed when she got outside in the open air. The doctor's coupe had returned for him and stood before the porte cochere. She did not wish to enter the coupe, and told Dr. Mandelet she would walk. She was not afraid and would go alone. He directed his carriage to meet him at Mrs. Pontellier's, and he started to walk home with her. Away up over the narrow street between the tall houses, the stars were blazing. The air was mild and caressing, but cool with the breath of spring in the night. They walked slowly, the doctor with a heavy, measured tread and his hands behind him. Edna in an absent-minded way, as she had walked one night at Grand Isle, as if her thoughts had gone ahead of her, and she was striving to overtake them. "You shouldn't have been there, Mrs. Pontellier," he said. "There is no place for you. Adele is full of whims at such times. There are a dozen women she might have had with her, unimpressionable women. I felt that was cruel. Cruel! You shouldn't have gone." "Oh, well," she answered indifferently. "I don't know that it matters after all. One has to think of the children some time or other. The sooner the better." "When is Leonce coming back?" "Quite soon. Sometime in March." "And you are going abroad?" "Perhaps." No, I'm not going. I'm not going to be forced into doing things. I don't want to go abroad. I want to be let alone. Nobody has any right, except children, perhaps, and even then it seems to me, or did it seem?" She felt that her speech was voicing the incoherency of her thoughts and stopped abruptly. "Well, the trouble is," sighed the doctor, grasping her meaning intuitively, "that youth is given up to illusions. It seems to be a provision of nature, a decoy to secure mothers for the race. And nature takes no account of moral consequences, of arbitrary conditions which we create, and which we feel obliged to maintain at any cost." "Yes," she said, "the years that are gone seem like dreams, if one might go on sleeping and dreaming. But to wake up and find... Oh, well, perhaps it's better to wake up after all, even to suffer, rather than to remain a dupe to illusions all one's life." "It seems to me, my dear child," said the doctor at parting, holding her hand, "you seem to me to be in trouble. I'm not going to ask for your confidence. I will only say that if you ever feel moved to give it to me, perhaps I might help you. I know I would understand, and I tell you there are not many who would. Not many, my dear." "Some way I don't feel moved to speak of things that trouble me. Well, don't think I'm ungrateful or that I don't appreciate your sympathy. There are periods of despondency and suffering which take possession of me. But I don't want anything but my own way. That is wanting a good deal, of course, when you have to trample upon the lives and the hearts and the prejudices of others. But no matter. Still, I shouldn't want to trample upon the little lives. Oh, I don't know what I'm saying, doctor. Good night. Don't blame me for anything." "Well, yes, I will blame you if you don't come and see me soon. We will talk of things you've never dreamt of talking about before. It'll do us both good. I don't want you to blame yourself whatever comes. Good night, my child." She let herself in at the gate, but instead of entering, she sat upon the step of the porch. The night was quiet and soothing. All the tearing emotion of the last few hours seemed to fall away from her like a somber, uncomfortable garment, which she had but to loosen to be rid of. She went back to that hour before Adele had sent for her, and her senses kindled afresh in thinking of Robert's words, the pressure of his arms, and the feeling of his lips upon her own. She could picture at that moment no greater bliss on earth than possession of the beloved one. His expression of love had already given him to her in part. When she thought that he was there at hand, waiting for her, she grew numb with the intoxication of expectancy. It was so late. He'd be asleep, perhaps. She would awaken him with a kiss. She hoped he would be asleep, that she might arouse him with her caresses. Still, she remembered Adele's voice whispering, "Think of the children. Think of them." Well, she meant to think of them. That determination had driven into her soul like a death wound. But not tonight. Tomorrow would be a time to think of everything. Robert was not waiting for her in the little parlor. He was nowhere at hand. The house was empty. But he scrawled on a piece of paper that lay in the lamplight, "I love you. Goodbye, because I love you." Edna grew faint when she read the words. She went and sat on the sofa. Then she stretched herself out there, never uttering a sound. She did not sleep. She did not go to bed. The lamp sputtered and went out. She was still awake in the morning when Celestine unlocked the kitchen door and came in to light the fire.